Hi, everyone. My name is Anthony Caruso III, and I am the publisher of the Capital Sports Report. I am also the host of the Capital Sports Report Live. Today, I am joined by Johnny Ahten, who is a Los Angeles County firefighter and top alcohol dragster driver. But first, before I welcome him, I would like to play this little video of him going down the track. Welcome to the show tonight, Johnny.
Hi, everybody. Glad to be here, Anthony. Thank you for inviting me.
When you were younger, like I mentioned in the intro, you are a Los Angeles County firefighter. When you were younger, did you dream of being a firefighter?
No, I wanted to drive nitro funny cars and dragsters actually as a kid. I kind of followed my dad. I did. I followed my dad's footsteps. He is a retired fire captain for the Los Angeles County Fire Department and also is the crew chief on our car. He tunes the motors, builds the short blocks, tunes the car. He's the boss of our operation. And so I grew up around both, but I really wanted to be a race car driver and work on nitro cars. And I grew up around Jim Dunn and, because he worked with my dad in the fire station. And so it wasn't until I was probably my later years in high school when I had that reality check of I've got to figure out what I'm going to do to make a living. I kind of looked at those two guys and said, well, what do they do to, what is this fire department gig really about? Because when I was a kid growing up, I really didn't know much about the fire department. I would go to the station to visit my dad, my brother, and my sister and everything. But we were going to my dad's work. I didn't really look into so much what they actually did. And when I finally showed a little interest in it, I asked my dad about it. And he kind of said, well, you show me a little dedication, you go get your EMT over the summer, and I'll set up a ride-along. And he did that. I got my EMT, and boy, was I in for an eye-opener. He set me up for a ride-along at Fire Station 3 in East Los Angeles, one of the stations he used to work at. And I was there all through the night on the rescue squad with the ladder truck and the engine going out on calls. And I couldn't believe that people got paid to do this for a living. The excitement, the adrenaline, helping people. There's so much to it. That's kind of what sparked my interest in the fire department, and that kind of grew legs and ran with it. And of course, I fell in love with it. I love being a firefighter. I'm now a fire captain. I work at a big fire station down in the city of Huntington Park, which is the County of Los Angeles Fire Station 164. I've been all over. I've worked for our busiest fire stations. I've worked all over LA County. We've got about 180 fire stations, and it's been about 30 years now, just over 30 years I've been working for the fire department. And I'm blessed that I got to do it, that's how I got to make a living. Still love it to this day.
And you mentioned when you help these people, they're usually at their weakest moment.
We're problem solvers. Yeah, I mean, yes. It doesn't matter what the issue is. Whatever their problem is, whether their cat is stuck in a tree or their house is on fire or someone's having a heart attack or a car crash, we come in and we try to solve that problem. It could be a strange odor, a gas leak, a chemical spill, the mountains are on fire. Who knows? We got to go in there and figure out what we're problem solvers. And I love that. No 2 days are the same. But one thing that I really love about the fire department, this is probably the most passionate thing that I teach all the young guys, is it doesn't matter. Like, let's say you have someone trapped in a car and it's raining and it's at night and it's 2 a.m. and you're tired. It's already been a long day and we're having a tough time getting this person extricated from this car crash. Well, we don't just say, okay, you know what? It's 5 o'clock. We'll come back in the morning. We'll regroup and, we'll figure out how to do this later. Or, you know what? Tomorrow a new crew's coming in. They're going to handle it. No, we never quit. And that's one thing about the fire department is we will never stop. We never quit. We never stop until we get that person extricated from the car. And we do that. We apply that to every aspect. We don't stop until the fire's out. We don't stop until that person's out of the car. I mean, we go until the job is completed. and there's no break, there's no stopping. And that's one thing I truly love about the fire department.
When you did that ride along, was it like it synced in at that moment that you had to do it? It was like, as Terry McMillan told me one time, when you go to a race, it's like they putting a needle in your arm and then you're hooked for life.
Well, there were so many things too. I'll tell you what, I was pretty nervous, pretty intimidating place to go. Big fire station. It's very rowdy and loud, and they're all type A personalities. And here I am, this little guy, trying to just stay out of the way and not ask any really dumb questions. But they treated me pretty well, and they saw how enthusiastic I was. And yeah, I left that next morning going, holy smokes, I can't believe that this is what my dad does for a living. And you can pay your bills doing this. Are you kidding me? And that's one of the reasons why it's so competitive and it's hard to get into the fire department, because it's not a job. It's not even a career. It becomes really a lifestyle, and it's a calling. You have to really embrace it with the right attitude, because there's a lot of good and bad, just like everything. There's pros and cons to everything. We work long days and sometimes many days in a row. You're away from the family, but it's very, you see a lot of horrific things, a lot of PTSD, things like that. But the pros are I've been able to provide my family with a decent living. The time off is wonderful, and the reward for what we do is huge. When people thank you, when you help families that you've never met before, you go in there and you do that day in and day out, around the clock. That's pretty rewarding to go home and know that you made a difference in a lot of people's lives.
You touched on this very early. You said your father was a firefighter, and also he helps out with the race team. So you followed in his footsteps
Yeah.
of firefighting and racing. Could you talk about your father's impact on your life?
Well, he's like my mentor. He's probably like my best friend. We're a lot alike in many ways, and we love hanging out in the shop, talking tune-up, talking about the computer, what the car did, what we want to change, what we want to do. And as a kid, he didn't talk about the fire department at home much. He kind of left it at work. We talked about racing a lot, and it was cool when I became a firefighter that now I could actually interact and speak that language, so to speak. And he could talk about it now, and he would open up and talk about calls and fires that he was on and experiences. And I've worked the same fire stations he's worked. We worked for the same fire department. And my younger brother, he's also on the fire department. He's a captain also. So the three of us, we exchange stories, and you've got someone that understands what you're talking about at home. Because you've got to have somebody that when you talk about it to get things out and discuss it, you need a good listener to understand what you're talking about. And so with the fire department and racing, he's of course been retired for quite some time now, coming up on about 20 years, I think. He still gets to stay connected to the fire department because it's a lifestyle. We live at the fire station, and we're there at a minimum a third of our lives at the station. So when you retire, it's a huge lifestyle change, and a lot of guys really struggle with that because they're used to that routine, the adrenaline, being with that group of type A people, and the excitement. And so fortunately for me, I've got something that kind of fills that void a little bit, and I can fill my syringe, so to speak, and shoot up my arm with drag racing as my adrenaline, my excitement. Of course, it doubles down on my poor wife and kids and stuff because of, I'm not just driving a race car, but then when I hurry home, I go to work for a few days in a row sometimes, and I'm, going into burning buildings or climbing up ladders onto the roof of these burning buildings and cutting holes and things. So it can impact the family a lot.
As a captain of the Huntington Park Fire Department, what does your coworkers think of you driving a fast car on the side?
Well, everybody there has some type of, because we're all the same kind of personalities. And whether it's the dirt bikes or dune buggies or boats or something, a lot of them have those same outlets. I just get to go, in a nitro dragster and do it. And it's pretty cool. Of course, every time you come back after race weekend, everybody wants to know, okay, did you win? Did you win? And, you always have to tell them, well, no, and no, you didn't win again, huh? There's one winner in drag racing and a whole bunch of losers, I explain to them all the time. And it's not like roundy round racing or other things, IndyCar or something where when you have, you've got a winner, a podium finish, let's say, well, yeah, I was top 5 or, I was a podium finish. Drag racing is pretty much, unless you won, nobody cares. You got to bring home the Wally. And it ain't easy.
Yes, I know that. You can be racing in drag racing for a very long time, and then it can take you like 30 years before you finally win one.
Yeah, and then to win one is hard, and they say to win 2 is even harder. Of course, a lot of teams make it look pretty easy. But it's more than just the win. I'm going to be honest about drag racing is the win. That's icing on the cake. It's the lifestyle. It's being in the shop. It's turning a wrench on the car, turning a knob to get the car to respond to someone, make a change, getting the thing down the track, doing whatever it's just building engines, working on trailers, fixing the truck that you get there with, working with sponsors, doing all these things. It's a lifestyle of that passion. It has to be there in order to, pursue this. And it's more than just the win. The win is so gratifying and everything else. But you always want more, and if I had one more run, if I had a little more power, if I didn't do this to the car, if my light was a little quicker. And a lot of times when we go out there, we'll blow the tires off, smoke the tires or shake the tires, or, something stupid happens or a part breaks and everybody's kind of down. And the worst part is packing everything up and then the drive home. And probably 45 minutes an hour into that tow home, my dad and I were already talking about the next race and what we're going to change and what we want to do.
Have you been able to bring out any of your coworkers to a race?
Oh yeah, well, when we run Pomona, a lot of guys come out, guys and gals. A lot of fire department comes out to the track because it's a home track. The local station actually sometimes that covers the Fairplex at Pomona. Okay. They'll drive, their fire engines are there. The inspectors, they'll come by our trailer and say hi and check in and see how we're doing. So, tons and tons. It's almost too distracting sometimes. You have so many people in the pits. It's hard to focus on the car because you want to talk to everybody. You want to give everybody the time, but just everybody know that when you do come by, sometimes it's pretty hard because we want to win and we got to work on the car and they don't give us a lot of time. This past race national event that I ran in Las Vegas, between the semis and the final, we had 40 minutes turnaround time, and it's tough to talk to people when you have that quick of a turnaround.
Say when we go back to Pomona in November or in February, does your fire department get to partake in the firefighter first responder parade that they do?
They have, yes, they have. In fact, one of the things I got up behind me up here on the shelf is I actually got one of the Salute to Heroes. I was honored by an HRA for that, with the parade and everything, for being a first responder. It's a pretty amazing thing that one of the awards that I've gotten from the NHRA that I know is kind of exclusive to to a small group, but we've been down that parade, and I always thank the Safety Safari when I'm coming up that return road for that hard work, long days, being out in the sun in those suits. I can relate, I understand, and I know they're there to protect us and get us out of those cars.
Yes, because they got to be there very early, so like 8 o'clock in the morning.
They're there early until late.
Yeah,
early until late, all day.
Yeah. You mentioned that your family has ties, a big close bond with Jim Dunn and the Jim Dunn racing team. Could you talk about that for our audience?
Yeah, without a doubt. So Jim Dunn was a retired firefighter, and my dad's retired, and they worked at the same station for most of their careers. So when we do that, your crew, you live together, and so you eat together, you exercise together, you sleep in the same dormitory, you go on these calls, you go into war together, so to speak. When you fight fires together, you build a bond up. And I got hand-me-downs from the Dunn family as a kid, my toys, my clothes, grew up going to Orange County as a little kid, and just that's what I thought all kids had. I thought everybody had a dragster or a funny car in their garage at home as a kid. And so we still the Duns still help us out a lot with parts. It's one part of our parts stream is I buy a lot of used parts from them. Sometimes I go help them. I'll go to the shop and help John on something with the car moving stuff. When they moved from Southgate to Ontario, spent a lot of time helping them just move stuff. 40 or 45 years worth of stuff in their shop that had to get moved because there's a lot of history there. A lot of history.
What parts can you use on their nitro funny car to your top alcohol dragster besides like the pistons and stuff?
Well, the pistons don't apply because we're a different board.
Okay.
But I bought blocks, the engine blocks. We just put a different size sleeve in it. They run Brad Anderson blocks like we do. I've gotten a lot of clutch discs over the years from them, bearings, ignition stuff. We run the same ignition components, all kinds of things like that. And then there's support equipment, starters or starter cables, things like that. So Big Jim and John have been super helpful with us over the years, and they're like family. And John's like my brother. And in fact, I texted him today. We were texting a little bit today. I know they got a short week because they're going to Virginia.
Correct.
So this week I probably won't run out to their shop, but sometimes I'll swing out there and hang out a little bit.
They're the only team that's not based in Brownsburg of the nitro teams.
Just about. Yep, they're still here.
Travel the full tour.
Everybody, Southern California was the hub years ago, a long time ago, but those days are gone. They all moved back to Brownsburg, or except for the Colettas who are up there in Michigan and
yes,
a few teams in like Ohio and stuff. But it's when you put out your map, your game board on the table, and you say, okay, where are all the tracks we're going to run? Southern California is not the best place to start out of. Just the sheer travel and for diesel and flying from the coast to coast. There's some long flights, but they're doing it, and you ain't never going to slow Jim Dunn down. The guy is unbelievable. I mean, you watch him; he's still going. I believe he's 88 years old now, and still sharp as a tack and tuning the car, and still going through airports, long flights. All those things. He's still doing it. That's that drug we talked about, nitromethane.
Yes, I was actually searching up how old he is, but it's not coming
I think
up.
he's 88.
Do you get parts from any other teams? I know the Torrances have a parts program too.
Well, we've been kind of paired up with Doug Coletta's car probably since, maybe 2014 or so. Scrubbing tires for Doug's car, and because of that relationship we built up, I had a good parts revenue buying chassis and brackets and parts and stuff from the Coletta guys. So a lot of the parts that we have on the car are, Coletta parts. They make a lot of their stuff from mag drives to ignition plates to parachute brackets to wheelie bars. All that stuff has been made in-house at Coletta. And they'll run it for so many runs or they'll change swap stuff out. And I try to go in there and scoop it up at a discount.
Back to the fire department. This is the last question on that. Huntington Park, you're in Los Angeles County, probably outside of New York and the Manhattan, New York City area. It's one of the most popular population areas. As a firefighter, what's it like to be active on a big city like you are?
Well, because I wanted to be a big city firefighter, I was really lucky to get hired by the County of Los Angeles. And so where I work in Huntington Park, very dense population, very crowded. We have a dense residential neighborhood, and we are right next to a very large industrial area that's just south of downtown Los Angeles. And we are just east of like South Central Los Angeles. And so we move around a little bit on fires. We go to the big industrial fires. We go to our residential fires. And then our engine company at the station's a strike team. So it will go to the bigger brush fires. And because it's the county fire department, our area is huge. And so we cover areas that are rural, like Malibu, the hills of Malibu. So we have brush areas. We have the Antelope Valley. We have the downtown areas. We've got coastal areas along the beach. and everywhere in between. So you can go work areas that have really just brush fires. That's their biggest threat. Areas that have a lot of freeways, so they get a lot of traffic collisions and things. You can go to areas that are pretty quiet. And then you go to areas that are very, very busy. A lot of, because we also go on medical calls. That's the brunt of our call load is rescues, 911 rescues. And we have paramedics. Our firefighters are also paramedics. So we go into the homes, we're treating them and transporting them to the hospitals, getting them to the trauma centers, to the closest hospitals, whatever they need to do, stroke centers. And, and I like it because I'm at a big fire station. So it's very old school, very traditional, very rowdy. And you can't have thin skin. You can't, you got to really, how we embrace each other is with, as we call it, cramming each other. And that's that bond that we have. It truly is a good brotherhood and sisterhood in the fire department.
When we did one of these about 2 years ago now, approaching 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I asked you, for the audience that don't know, I asked Johnny, well, what do you do with your time off as a firefighter? And he told me, I go to the racetrack.
Yeah. Well, you remember when we did that? That was, I think it was during COVID.
Correct.
And we did it, and I set my laptop up on the apparatus floor so we could see the fire engines behind me.
Correct. And one of them was leaving as...
I remember one of them was going out on calls as we were talking.
Yes.
That was the paramedic squad. And you could see the engine company and the ladder truck. They were also... and I just knew we were going to get a fire or something while I was talking to you, but it didn't happen. Just Murphy's Law, it should have happened. But, and it's not just... one of the things that I do a lot of, too, is I run. I'm a runner. And that's what gets a lot of the stress out from both sides of, the racing and, of course, the fire department. And my wife runs, my boys run. I've got an 11th and a 9th grader at home that run distance, track, and cross country. They're at practice right now. My wife, Monica, she is the girls' distance coach. So she's at the school right now with the boys, and she coaches the girls. And they're very good. They got CIF. My oldest qualified for CIF finals, which will be this Saturday up in Moore Park. And so I run with them. I ran when I was in high school, and that's kind of one of the things that I do enjoy, going out there and getting some mileage in. And to do it with my family is, it makes it even that much better.
How are you able to juggle racing and firefighters when you have to be at the fire station around the clock sometimes, and then you got to be at the drag races when you can?
I don't know.
All over the place.
People ask me all the time, and I don't have an answer. Really, it's just winging it one day at a time is what I joke about. But it takes a special family unit, and to be married in this situation, to have family in the fire department. That's one of the cons that we talked about in this job. Is it's similar to a military family, a military wife maybe that's gone, or either way, a military spouse, I should say, and you're alone a lot, and so. My wife, I guarantee you the dishwasher is going to break, the clothes washer is going to break, whatever it is, while I'm at work. It's never going to happen when I'm home. And so you've got to have somebody that can kind of handle that. You got to lay things out. So this is how we got to do it. My boys, this is how, if this breaks, this is what I need you to do, kind of walk them through it. It's not easy. That's one of the hardest parts to doing this, but some way we're able to manage it. And when you do have your time off, you maximize it and you appreciate it and you value that time off. You don't take anything for granted, especially when you go to work and you see people that don't make it home. You see people at their worst and their weakest moments, their hardest times. So when you come home, I'm not stressed out about the washer being broken because of what I just saw at work. I'm like, all right, no big deal. We'll fix it. Whatever. We'll crack the piggy bank open and the glass jar and get our coins out and go fix the washing machine. And that kind of helps. It keeps things in perspective in life. And, so maybe that's part of it. If I really knew, I'd bottle it up and I'd sell it because I don't know.
Speaking of that for a second, you can be on a call and see like a very bad crash or someone die, and it could bother your mind. And as a firefighter or EMT or paramedic, there's some calls that live with you. And then you have to potentially, if you have a race in a few days, you got to focus on that. How do you do that?
Sometimes that's what helps you focus is having. I've always thought that the racing helps me to leave the fire department at work at the fire department. I don't bring it home necessarily. And when I get to go racing, when I'm in that car, you get belted in, I work on the car. I'm the clutch guy, and I maintain the car in between races and the truck and the trailer and everything else. And I get to change the clutch out, put fuel, pack the chutes, obviously, hustle, work on the car. I'm not just the driver, whatever. The driving is only 5 seconds. The rest of it is work. But when I get in the car in the staging lanes, a lot of drivers don't want to get in their cars. I mean, I work my butt off on this thing, spend a tremendous amount of money on this thing. I go, I want to be in the car. And I don't get claustrophobic in the car, probably from being a firefighter with all my gear on every day. I wear all that stuff when it's hot. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We can't say, okay, we're not going to go to the fire today. It's too hot. We still put that equipment on. So when I put my suit on, my helmet on, and get in the car, get belted in, that's my most relaxing time. And that time that I'm in that car, no one really comes and talks to you. Once you get in the car and you get belted in, nobody really comes and talks to you. So I sometimes take a nap. Like if a car oils down the track, sometimes I'll stay in the car and that's the only time I sit down when I'm not working on the car. And that is when I get like my own little, almost my me time. And when you start the car, there is nothing. The best part about it is there's nothing else in the world that matters. No bills, calls that I saw, people killed at work, anything at all. It all gets tuned away, and all I care about is that car. And it's the most purest moment that I get to go through. And so for a therapeutic side of it, that has a lot to do with it. So when you ask, like, how do I do it? That's how I do it is, it's healing for me. And that moment you're in the car, and you do your burnout, you back up, and the only thing in the world that matters is focusing on that Christmas tree and stepping on the pedal. And once you get out, it all comes back. Now I've got to work on the thing again and everything else. But that moment in the car is very surreal. And people always ask, what does it feel like? What is it? How can you describe it? And all those other things, or describe it to me. What does that feel like? And you can't. And only drivers will really understand it is you have to experience it. And I remember hearing an interview that Don Garlitz said one time a long time ago. And he said that I can't describe what it feels like. He goes, it's like trying to tell someone what chocolate tastes like. He goes, you just have to taste it to know what it tastes like. And that's kind of what it is like in the car is you just have to experience it because there aren't words to really describe it.
You said when there may be an oil down in the car, you take a nap with your helmet and everything on.
Sure. Yeah. Why not?
Like you're strapped in there.
So this car, like all our cars now, we have this, and of course I drove before we had these, but once we went to the
foam around your head.
Well, we got these pour in place seats now where,
Yes.
you put it, that forms to your body. This thing is molded to you. So it's actually, for me, it's really comfortable to sit in the car and be belted in there. And, it's quiet. You put your helmet on, nobody bothers you, and you're tired because you've been busting your butt to get to the track. And sometimes I doze off. I know Joey Severance does too. I've caught him a few times sleeping there, and I'm sure a lot of drivers do. It's not all the time, but those few times when you can get that much, a little peace in there, it's actually very relaxing.
At the very beginning, you mentioned that you dreamed about being a nitro, top fuel, or funny car driver. But then in 99, your family bought this top alcohol dragster. Could you talk about realizing the dream of being as close to getting to your realization?
Probably, yeah. An injected nitro car, an NHRA A-fuel car like we drive is the closest you can get to a top fuel car without driving one. Because the controls and the procedures are the same. They're set up the same. I mean, the chassis that I have are top fuel chassis. I didn't move any levers. We trim the levers the same way, the fuel pumps, the handbrakes, same positions. All that stuff's the same. Of course, we don't accelerate like those cars do, but it's the closest you're going to get. When we step on the throttle, we're going to move at, 3 3/4, sometimes 3.8 Gs on a good run for us, for my car, where, of course, they just keep going. I've had a lot of goals in my life. One was to become a firefighter. I wanted to, have a family, raise kids. I wanted to be successful in all these things. And one of them was being in an A-fuel car. I can remember just dreaming about driving an A-fuel car, sitting in the stands at Pomona on a Friday night, watching that alcohol qualifying session and thinking, wow, someday maybe I'll get to do that as my dad. We raced other classes and things. And then I was able to do that. And then I thought, wow, someday I'll be able to run a 530. And we were running like 550s at the time. And eventually I was able to do that too, and so on. And so you set these goals. And of course, I always wanted to drive top fuel. But I know that I juggle a lot already. And I do know that it's difficult to juggle even more. And I'm very happy racing with my dad. Now, if I ever had the opportunity to go top fuel racing, who knows what we would do? I would cross that bridge if we came to it. I'd like to think that I'm good enough to do it, but I don't have the financial backing to just come in and walk in and do it. And I love racing with the family that we race in, the crew and the team that we have, the bonds that we've built over all the years we've been racing. And I'm very blessed, and I count those blessings that I get to do it with them. Whether we win, lose, or draw, we went out there and we spent time together, and we were doing something we love doing.
You touched on this just seconds ago, but back to your child there for a second before we go back to the racing aspect.
Oh yeah, back when I used to draw pictures on all my books and Peachy folders and everything of top fuel altereds. Actually, I used to draw fuel altereds with the Orange County Tower in the background. That was something I loved to draw as a kid.
Wow. Your boys, one of them has a running event this weekend. Yeah. And being that you're out of work for a little time, as I published on the Capital Sports Report, you're out 6 weeks. You may not be able to get to witness him competing as you are going to be this weekend. What's it like you're going to be there for him?
Well, I do miss that. Is one of the, we talked about pros and cons of being in the fire department. One of the cons is you miss a lot of your kids' events. And, one of the jokes that firefighter wives, everybody thinks that they're single moms because they go to practices by themselves and they don't see the dads a lot of times. But being able to be there is so special because I have missed a lot of football games that they played. I missed a lot of the Little League. I missed a lot of their track meets. And so, yeah, I won't miss this Saturday. I will be home from work this Saturday and get to see it. And it's going to be real special. No matter what he does, just being there for him. And because, they do, like they all say, they grow up so fast. And I can't believe how fast he's a junior in high school. It's amazing.
On Friday, I believe it was Friday, you went to the appointment, or maybe sometime last weekend, you went to the doctor's for your elbow. Can you tell our audience how you got injured at work?
Yeah, we were on a fire. I was working on a ladder truck, and one of the straps, we get there, and we got heavy fire coming out of this commercial building. It's blowing out the front of this thing. And I'm the second truck there, so I report to the first in truck. And the truck companies they're going to go up top, and we're going to ventilate the roof. And so we were assigned to throw secondary ladders, come in and assist that truck. And one of the things we do when you get out of the cab is you have to get your breathing apparatus on because we breathe out of these air tanks. And so we're not breathing the gases and the smoke and the hot air and everything and all that yucky stuff. So you wear like a backpack. So as I was getting it out of the cabinet, one of the straps got snagged on this thing. And when I pulled it, I tore something in my elbow, and I felt the pain there. But you kind of brush it off, because you bang yourself up quite a bit. And but that night I couldn't sleep. It hurt. And like a lot of things, you just think it's going to go away. And, I get bruises all the time. Tire shake will give me bruises sometimes. And just, sometimes my knees ache from running or whatever else, or, you get sore, and I ain't as young as I used to be either. So that's part of it that I kind of factored into this. Like, it'll just take me a little longer for it to go away, but it didn't. It just kept lingering and kept lingering and kept lingering. I thought, man, I'm finally going to have to wise up and go to the doctor and get this thing looked at. And fortunately, he said it wasn't completely torn or anything. The tendon's in there where my elbow comes together. The word he used was it's shredded, but not tore all the way across. So He doesn't think that I'll need any surgery, but he says he wants me to lay low on my arm for a while, and I'm hoping to start. I haven't started yet, but start the occupational therapy next week. It is feeling a lot better than it was, but it's still, I get the numbness and tingling in my my pinky here and stuff, and the swelling's gone down now. I've been icing it a lot. I'm staying off the meds, which is good. So it's just one of those things where our job tears up shoulders, knees, all our joints and stuff over time. And I do have, I've been doing this for about 30 years now, just over 30 years. And I ain't the young spring chicken that I was. I still like to try to hang with the younger guys the best I can and let them think I'm invincible. But I'm starting to realize I'm not as invincible as I always have been. That's why I'm not out riding dirt bikes or motorcycles or anything. I like a roll cage around me, even though I go as fast as we do in that A fuel car. I've got a complete roll cage, that form-fitted seat insert, big, thick fire suit, helmets, all that stuff. And I don't know if that gives me a false sense of security, but I know I would really hurt myself if I was out riding dirt bikes and stuff like I used to when I was young.
I'm going to touch on the runner-up, but I would like to know, I'm going to tell the audience, Johnny went to the final quad at Las Vegas during the national event. That's going to be my next question. But as a driver with your elbow causing you problems and racing those two events in Las Vegas, like back-to-back weekends, I believe it was.
Yeah, the driving part wasn't as bad as it seems.
Okay.
It was because probably maybe a little bit of the adrenaline. It was aching throughout the whole weekend, like it has been, but we're only in the car for a few seconds and, under power. And really my left arm, it doesn't do much. It's your right arm that holds the brake, throws the parachutes. And I was taught to drive these dragsters actually by Frank Hawley years ago. And I'd really drive the steering wheel with my fingertips. I don't clench the steering wheel really tight. I literally drive with my fingertips and finesse the thing. And that's how I keep that thing going down the lane and keep it in the groove. And just by small little inputs. And the way he described it is, and a lot of drivers will understand this, for a dragster, that is, he goes, it's like if you're holding a cup of coffee with no lid on it and you're driving your pickup truck and you go over train tracks. He goes, how do you hold your coffee cup? Do you hold it out here and really light and let it kind of bounce? Or do you grab it really firm? What happens if you grab that thing really firm and you go over you're going to spill the coffee everywhere.
Yeah.
Because that all translates through. It's the same thing with holding the steering wheel in the dragsters. If you hold that thing really tight, you're going to drive it all over the place. And, if you want to drive it right down, it's just, so I really don't use my left arm much in the car. So that part was good. And I had a lot of help to work on in between rounds, to work on the car, to work on, setting up the pit and breaking it down. I had a lot of people there to take care of that and carry the load for me. So that part helped out quite a bit. And there was a good friend called Advil. I took a lot of ibuprofen to keep the inflammation down and help with the pain a little bit. But it did bother me. Boy, I was tossing and turning at night trying to sleep and stuff. Of course, your brain's going a billion miles an hour every time it's a race weekend too, though. But and then finally when I came back, I went to work and I was like, yeah, this is, I got to get something because I can't grab things and pick them up with my other arm. I can't pinch things and pick it up. And I thought this isn't going to work if we're, the guys are going to need my arm. And if I'm not 100%, somebody gets hurt. Somebody else is going to get hurt. So I finally got looked at.
Approximately a month ago, you were in the final quad at the strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway with Joey Severance, yourself, Chris Dempke, and Jasmine Salinas. You were runner-up to Severance in that quad, and Dempke, I believe, was third, and Salinas was fourth. What was it like for you to make it to that quad, nursing your injury, to make it to the final round? That's a lot of perseverance and getting through all the tough times that you had to do that with your injury to make it that far.
We had a lot of help, a lot of people there working on the car, and that helped out a lot. We really like that going from the semifinal to the final. There wasn't all we did is change the oil. put more nitro in it, pack the chutes, and we put a clutch pack in it. We didn't leak it down. We put new spark plugs in it, and we brought it up to the line just in time, really. And the 4-wide racing it is different. It's almost a blur a little bit because you were only going 3 rounds on Sunday as far as eliminations go, and you got 4 cars, and 4. It's just a weird kind of thing. The whole vibe is kind of weird. It worked out well for me, as far as we were the first car in the first and the second, sessions to get to the finish line, ensuring that we went on. But if you're the second quickest, because we lose, a lot of times I'll lose a round, and I'm I would have won all the other rounds basically with my losing time, but I just paired up bad or got a bad draw on the ladder and stuff. And so at least with the 4-wide, you have a better opportunity to cash in on that. And the final round is just Joey's good. He stepped up. He cut an 017 light to my lousy 057 light. I ran a 24 to his 27, I think he ran, and I couldn't run him down in time. I mean, it was pretty tight. The margin of difference there was really close, but he's a 4-time world champ. And, and heck, even Demke had an 018 light, and I had to drive around him with his, I think he ran a 30 flat, and they're running real good. And he's driving really good, and it wasn't easy. And then, of course, when you're going against Salinas, those McPhillips boys, those guys are they're as badass as you come. And, it's crazy because I had to race Jasmine 3 times on Sunday. And that's a stout car. It just came from Gainesville and won the thing. Everything that McPhillips boys touch wins a race. Those guys are incredible. And so for us to compete and show that these West Coast A fuel cars can run, even though I don't have the funding and stuff to travel around and chase them, you come out, you're going to have to face us, and we're not going to take it lightly. And so at least we got to make that statement. And, that felt good, pretty damn good to run good. And we ran 23 in the first round. That was my quickest that I've ever run in Vegas. And also my best mile an hour in Vegas at 279. It was just a tick shy of 280 for that elevation over 4,000 feet. Was really good. And I got to give that all to my dad. The time he spends, literally probably today, he's even looking at how to make more power on that thing and studying the fuel systems, and we comb that car and make sure that everything is good from stem to stern on that thing. And try to do our best at making sure that it's race ready so that we can put a tune-up in it that it's going to haul ass.
You talked about the McPhillips, Rich McPhillips Jr. They helped the Scrappers team. They're out over here probably like 30 minutes from where I live in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. And they're a very, very good team. Even when they race over here in Division 1, they're very good. Yeah,
those guys, I got to give hats off to them. All the respect in the world. And it made us up our game, literally. Between Randy Meyer's operation and those McPhillips boys, we knew we had to up our game to compete with them. And because they're coming out. And of course, I can't forget about John Fink's team either with Jackie driving. And
yes.
Those cars, they run a lot, and, they've got professional crew that work on those cars and maintain them. And, we come back, we unload the thing, and I go to work on Monday morning, the fire station a lot of times, and don't get to the thing right away. So it's hard to compete. I don't have anywhere near the budget that they have. So we've got to make our parts last longer. I've got to stretch things and not compete as much, which is tough because I want to race more, especially when the car's running good. But for what we have and what we can do, we try to accomplish the best that we can. And but mad respect to those guys because they're making us up our game.
You race in 1 4-wide of the season in Las Vegas when you do compete there, and you touched on it how it's a little weird, and that's what a lot of drivers say. Do you like it or don't like it?
I don't. I think I do like it. I like to do it once. I don't think I'd want to do it all the time.
Okay.
It makes you concentrate a little more on the tree, pay attention a little more. And if you don't, you're going to get taken advantage of for sure. I don't know really as a spectator how I would embrace it necessarily because there's so much happening at once, and the session is over with so much quicker. Instead of getting drug out with more. You want to see a lot of cars go, a lot of pairs. Well, the quads, boom, 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 they're all gone. You're like, well, that was fast. There's a lot going on. So I think but it is cool to have something different, not the same thing every time. And so that kind of was kind of cool to break it up a little bit. So do I like it? Yes. Do I want to do it all the time? No.
As a West Coaster, you get to face these two drivers, these two very heavy hitters in the top alcohol class very often. One is from Oregon, and Joey Severance, who defeated you in Las Vegas, and the other one's kind of like your neighbor, Chris Demke, who's in the Los Angeles area.
And don't forget about Sean Cowie.
Yeah, he's from Vancouver, British Columbia.
Yeah,
guys.
Those 3 blown alcohol cars, they are the best on planet Earth. And Cowie should have a ton of championships. But I'll tell you, I know Joey and Demke, I'd have a lot more Wallies over here behind me. A lot of my Wallies are on their shelf right now. And I'm 0 for 3, I think, just in Las Vegas at the national event in final rounds against Joey alone.
Wow.
He's got 3 of my Wallies, and I don't know how many Demke's got. I remember talking to Dave Hirata about that one time, and he said Bill Reichert has all his Wallies, because they competed a lot in the final rounds. But, I love them all to death. I love those guys. I love competing against them. I can't say a bad thing about any of them. They're I respect the blown alcohol combination. I like A-Fuel. I like injected nitro. I love driving an injected nitro car. The pull, the sound, the thunder, the vibration, the harmonics of it. I enjoy that. I love going to the high side. When I started driving these dragsters, we were still on 100%. And when you would go to the high side and take your foot off the clutch, those things were popping and banging, and wing high header flames. They were just a monster to drive, just absolutely ferocious. And we fine-tuned these cars a lot. We're going so much quicker now. But I respect those things a lot. And they make us try to compete and do better. So I've just gotten used to it. I guess I don't know any different. It's weird if I were to go back east or Texas or somewhere and race a race with just A-Fuel cars, it would feel very weird. That's like these IHRA Ironman that I have. We would go run IHRA. It was just A-Fuel cars. And it felt almost awkward to us because we're like, wow, we're only racing injected nitro cars. So we're really an even playing field. We're all going in equal here. And that was kind of, it's a unique feeling because I don't get to experience that very often at all. I'm worried about the heat and the temperature and things like that because they have an advantage when it's hot over us for sure.
When you see Severance, Demke, and Cowie, do you joke with them like, hey, you got my Wallies at your house?
Oh, yeah, all the time. I absolutely do. No doubt. There's no there's no hostility or bad blood or anything between any of us out there on the West Coast. We're all racers. We all love to race. We all have our passions. And I think we all respect each other. We're all just working hard, on our combinations, trying to do better. And I've actually said that to them, I think. And when they beat me, I'm the first one to go over to them and congratulate them, when they do win. And trust me, they beat me a lot. They beat up on me for years. And Demke, we've raced, even before I raced Alcohol Dragster, we raced against them. They came over and started running with us in a West Coast class. We were on a 630 index. And boy, this is back probably in the 90s, I think. So we've been racing against a Peenwright dragster back when my dad was driving still. Okay. That's how long we've been racing Demke. But we used to beat up on them pretty good back then. I will say that, and they'll admit it too.
Even when you guys face each other and say if you move on and they lose, they will be willing to help you. And that's what's so great about drag racing.
Yeah.
They're willing to help you. Like, I think it was against Megan Meyer, I think it was. Severance needed a motor, and I think it was Cowie or the vice versa.
Yep. Yeah.
in that final round to race Megan for the
Callie
championship.
put his motor in Joey's car.
Yeah.
And you know what? Even after, I can remember a time in Phoenix when Joey beat me first round and broke the rear end or something. I went over there and helped him put the rear end in his car for the final. So, and like Joe, like we try our best to go race at Woodburn, Joey's home track, and the
He
track
owns
that he
that.
owns and runs. And he's so accommodating to us. And what we'll do is if we go race up there, we leave the whole operation on the road, and because we'll go to Seattle next usually, and we just pack it all into the trailer in the pits at the end of our weekend, put it all away, strap it all down, and we give Joey the keys. And literally, like on Monday or Tuesday, he'll pull it out of the pits and go park it in the field that he stacks all the alcohol teams, and then we fly home. A few weeks later, we'll fly back up, fire it up, drive it up to Seattle. And then if the schedule is different and we're coming down, there's been time where I've left Seattle Monday morning. It's about an 8-hour tow from Seattle down to Woodburn. We'll pull it in, stack it there, and then when we fly back up, Joey's already pulled it into our pit spot. So to have your trailer valeted by the world champ is saying something. So all of us have a great relationship with each other.
When we were talking on Friday through text message, you mentioned that you wanted to get sponsorship to race at the prestigious U.S. Nationals. Hopefully, you can get that sponsorship. But what would it mean to you to race at that event?
I've been to Indy twice, and I've helped other teams. And I've always wanted to take our operation out there and run. I don't think we were worthy over the years. I don't think we were good enough to make that tow. It's a good long tow from the West Coast to get out to Indy. And I think we're good enough now. And I didn't want to make the tow all the way out there and not qualify or go out there and get a rain out, because every penny, every dollar that I budget and spend, I've got to really maximize. And I didn't want to, blow our entire budget going out there and getting rained out, and then having to not race maybe on the makeup because everyone's got to be at work, because everybody's got a regular job. But I think we're pretty good now. I think that the car's been running good over the past probably 5 or 6 races. We're fine tuning things, and we want to race. And I'll be honest, with the parts, it's tough to get parts now. All these things, I don't want to, who knows if we'll have an opportunity to do it again. Next year, who knows? Pandemic again, I don't know. So it's you value things, you don't want to take it for granted. So we've been talking about it, and if we can get some funding to help cover the travel, I need money for diesel and hotel really, and help cover some of the airfare for the crew and things, or if I could talk them into buying their tickets and things. I've got the war chest. I've got the spark plugs. I've got the bearings. I've got the clutch discs. I've got valves. I've got everything ready to go. I just need to help in the budget for that. But I've got to cover diesel to get 2,000 miles each way, for a race, and hotel for like a week for crew. And if I can get funding to come in and help me cover those things, then we want to go. And I think we can actually compete. I think that we can be a contender out there and go some rounds and maybe hurt some feelings while we're out there.
You hear that? Anybody listening? Johnny needs a sponsor for that.
Help us out.
As a firefighter, how are you able to get off a week or two when you're off now for
It ain't easy. It's not easy sometimes, especially in summertime and holiday weekends. It's been tougher and tougher. We've been getting a lot of brush fires, so we increased our staffing. But the way we do it is there's a couple ways I can do it. We do get an annual vacation every year where they leave us alone, where you put it in. And I usually put that window for the end of the year for when we run Vegas, Pomona. We run 3 weeks in a row. And they can't recall me. We have something called a recall, where it's a forced hire, where you got to come into work on your day off. And that's for somebody was injured, somebody was, we have to fill vacancies, or, there's fires or staffing or something, earthquakes, and who knows what. And we've got to increase the staffing. Summertime, there's a lot of that. We send strike teams out. 5 engines on a strike team. There's 4 per on each engine. So we'll send these strike teams out with a lot of crew on them, and all their spots for those guys that are gone have to be filled. So that's where the recalls come in. We start getting guys, you got to come in on your days off. So the other way I do it is I trade my days. And okay. So that's one beauty that we can do is if let's say you're working on Monday and I'm working on Tuesday, well, we can flip flop our days. So we can also do that. It doesn't have to be consecutive days. It could be 6 months later or a week or two later. So a lot of times I'll trade days, and that guarantees me because I know you're going to be there for me, and I can leave and go to the race and then come back. But the bummer to that is when I come back, I got to work my regular days, and then I got to work your days too.
Yeah.
And then I've been gone for a while on the road racing. So that's when mama at home is starting to, her patience is wearing thin a little bit.
So you could actually work like a week straight at the fire department when you're
sometimes, yeah.
days.
We can voluntarily work 5 days in a row, 5 24-hour shifts. And then they can recall us up to 7 in a row. And then after that, we have to have a 12-hour break. We got to go home for 12 hours or 24. And then you can come back and do it all again. And there's some that do work quite a bit. I'm not one of them. I do like my days off because I know how fast my kids are growing up, and I don't want to miss it out if I don't have to. But that's also how I pay for, keep the lights on and put food on the table. I got to buy running shoes all the time and paying for paying for parts, I should say, clutch discs and things, to build up that war chest.
You have sponsors that help you today with your racing team.
I do.
But with everything that's going on in the world with inflation and parts, like you can order them today, but you might get them 2 months from now. As a team, how do you deal with that?
It's real. Well, right now we're in uncharted waters. We were out at Brad Anderson's the other day, and we were just told that there's no exhaust valves till the end of the year.
Wow.
One of my oil sponsors, Clean Boost Oil. And I was talking to Brett Winberg the other day, and Brett was filling me in on just the chaos of brake clean. You can't get brake clean right now. You can't get just the oil itself, the additives that they put in the oil, in the recipe, as they call it, that you add to, the oil to make it what it is. You can't get that stuff right now. Clutch discs are really hard to get. Just all the raw materials. It could be one little thing. We run Odyssey batteries, and they can't get enough plastic, believe it or not, to make, to have the inventory that they have. So I don't know. We're winging it right now. We've inventoried a lot of our stuff. We built up our war chest. During COVID, when we weren't racing, a lot of these manufacturers had parts on the shelf and they weren't selling them because nobody was racing. So we took that time to buy more stuff to build everything up. So I've got enough parts to get me through probably the end of the year. But if they can't start supplying stuff after that, then I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know what other teams are doing, especially these ones that run so much. I can't afford a pallet of clutch discs, so I buy them in smaller increments. But, to build up and to feed these monsters, the amount of parts that you've got to feed them, the consumables, is insane.
Correct. Do you have enough spare motors for your top Alcohol Dragster for the end of the year?
I think I do. We were just inventorying. I've got enough connecting rods and pistons, our JE pistons and our Bill Miller rods. The rods I'm kind of close on. If I go a lot of rounds, I might have to order a set of rods. And we were just talking about if we need to do that, we need to get on it now. But I might be able to make it to the end of the year. And it also depends if we go to Indy and go rounds in Indy, how many runs I make there. I've got enough pistons. I've got enough bearings. I've got enough spark plugs. NGK is wonderful on providing us with the best spark plug there is. And oil, all the things that we've got to give it. The big variable now is diesel. What's diesel going to cost? And, hotel. I put new tires on the truck and trailer last year, so we're good there. Some new Goodyears. And there's so much more that goes into the operations that people don't see behind the curtain, and it's that kind of stuff, but we were able to stock up on a lot of things, because we were racing. So I was building up on grinding floaters and on, machining parts and things. We spent a lot of time doing that because that was kind of like our therapy.
Okay. I don't know if you watch this show, but I want to get your opinion on this because a lot of people are now talking about it, and I've written a lot about it in the past few days. So I don't know if you watch the Street Outlaws on the Discovery Channel. You do? I think
I do
you
sometimes. Yeah.
Okay, so they have this series called the No Prep Kings. And Paige Coughlin, the daughter of Troy Coughlin, is going to be competing in it very, very soon. Then last week, there was this announcement that Team Bodie has, from California, Jay Bodie, has partnered with Elite HP, which is Richard Freeman's operation, part of it, with Marty Robertson, a pro stock driver, to compete in the series at some point down the road. He's going to have to go through the future class before he gets an invite to the big show, the Invitational, like Paige. What's your thoughts on the crossover? Because some people who've been in that series since the very beginning are starting to voice their opinion. No, I don't want you here. You're an outsider.
Well, you know, it's popular, and not only is it popular with spectators and fans, but it's going to be popular with drivers. There's a lot of money there right now. That's where a lot of the fame and the glam and the money is. And a lot of those hot rods are badass. And I'd drive one if I had the opportunity. I'd be into one of them door cars, racing them too. So I could see, they've got a good thing going, and maybe they don't want to share it with everybody. They don't want people taking a piece of their pie. Maybe is what's going on. But it's very popular, and the fans love it. And there's a lot of cars out there doing it right now, and it has ignited, the aftermarket industry. Everybody thought the aftermarket industry was going to die. Oh, it's all going to die and everything else. There's, these companies are going to die, but people are buying parts now to hop up their cars and, keep things going,
Yes, there's this quote, if I can get it with the connection that I have here. It was from Dominator that I wrote about, and it was basically like, he said, "Oh, how funny it is that all these street outlaws and MPK haters slash real racers we're bashing and hating are beginning to get into the race now. Hey, I could put a sponsor sticker on my car and make you feel fuzzy. Pay attention to who starts showing up and trying to be a part of what they hated on for so many years and never forget."
Everybody's got their opinion. That's all I can say. I don't, a lot of stuff like that. I don't worry about people like getting all bent out of shape for different things and worrying about I never worry about everybody else. I worry about myself and staying in my lane, so to speak. And because then if I start worrying about everybody else, I'm going to swerve. And, a lot of people, when the Street Outlaw show came out, everybody thought that's promoting illegal street racing, which we don't want it because that hurts the whole sport and everything else. It's a show. It's the TV show is a drama. Everything else is like everything else, like almost like a reality show. But they're racing on tracks now. I don't really, as a dragster driver, who I'm applying as much horsepower as I can to that track. I don't understand the no prep part of it. I want that starting line as tight as can be. I want it ripping my sneakers off, because I want to put the throw down because I want to go as quick and fast as I can.
You want the glue down.
If I'm on a track that I can't do that on, I've got to detune the thing. Detuning is not what I like to do.
Okay.
I like to swing for the fence and knock it out of the park. But you can always appreciate all the different types of racing there are and respect each other's racing. There's people that don't like top fuel dragsters. There's people that don't like pro stock. There's people that I don't even understand a lot of bracket racing, to be honest. But
me neither. Like the index
throttle stops
90 and stuff. I was like,
yeah. But I respect the hell out of these guys that can do it and master it in super comp and things and go out there and just crush it week in and week out. They're very good at their craft, and I respect them for that. I'm not going to compete against them because I'm not good enough to carry their lunchbox. But what I am good at is driving an A-fuel car and tuning these things, and that's what I enjoy. So let them play over there. Let the Street Outlaws play over here. Let the Fuel Funny cars over there. The Heritage Series, the Nostalgia Series, all these different things. Everybody's got their own thing. Hey, I love it all. I watched the Formula One race, yesterday. I like F1. I like racing. And that doesn't mean I'm going to hate on any of it or get on my keyboard and bash things. But there's some people that's just their personality. That's what they're going to do. So I don't worry about them.
Yeah, and Justin Swanstrom, I believe you might have heard his name. He said that show is entertainment first and racing second.
Yeah, but yeah. And those guys are making a lot of money doing it.
Oh, big time! Like
makes me think, like, what am I doing? But and it is entertaining. We watch at the fire station. There's a lot of guys that really like watching at the fire station, and so hey, you know what? It's helping the aftermarket companies. People are buying parts for their cars. So all of that is positive. All that stuff, it's great.
Finally, Johnny, this weekend there was an incident. Well, it was initially called a starting line incident. Now we know what happened with Jim Reed's racing team
in
Australia. And Bruce Reed said that he was just cranking the engine, and all of a sudden it just exploded on him, and there was a huge fireball. As a driver who's been through the racing for over 20 years, and you get to see the sport as you do, what was your immediate thoughts when you heard about that?
Well, I saw the video on Facebook, like a lot of people did, and I don't know exactly what happened, but my first impression is that it hydraulicked, and that was a very common thing. Like with A fuel cars, when they first started running A fuel cars, if there is any nitromethane in that cylinder, and you spin it over, or at all, it will go bang like that. And it happened to a lot of teams, and that was it's happened to we on the car. To ensure that no nitro ever gets in that, so that never happens for our team, we have a procedure. Every A fuel car has a procedure where we spin it and we blow it out. All the spark plugs come out, we blow, and then the nozzles and push all the fuel down through the rails and all into the cylinder. And then with the spark plugs out, they spin it and it all comes out of the cylinder. And you won't see any A fuel teams with the fuel line connected, coming off the barrel valve going into the distribution block, so that no mistakes can happen. Because even when teams would load their cars in the trailers, if they were up at an angle, fuel could just drip back and bleed past the shutoff, or certain things could happen. So we don't even, it gets connected right before we start it, and then comes off at the end of the run when we blow it out, and it's never connected in between, to ensure that doesn't happen. And these things are ferocious. Nitromethane is a bomb, and it happened a lot of times. I've seen it blow out guys' eardrums when that happens, when it bangs. Obviously kick the rods out, backfire things. It's when it hydraulics, and it's right as soon as you start, it compresses that fuel that's in there and bangs, and it's not good.
They said that 5 members were injured, but one, Gus had his hand. The guy Gus had his hand severely injured, and they said that they're going to investigate it. But I don't know how you can investigate it when maybe they'll look at it that way.
They'll be able to look at the car and the parts and see what happened. I mean, kudos to what they don't see is they just see what the bang happened, but.
Correct.
The ballistics covers on the valve covers, the straps for the supercharger, all these things, the carbon fiber bucket, or if they had a Kevlar bucket on the bottom of the thing with the belly pan and everything, that keeps a tremendous amount of the parts, actually, the big bag over the supercharger.
Yes,
it would have been way worse without all that safety stuff on there. All that safety stuff is on there because of things like this happening in the past. And we have it on there for the potential for that to happen. And I'll tell you, when you pull those coil wires, and if there's nitro in there, that's what happens. And it's not the first time it's happened. You can Google it and probably find on YouTube all kinds of videos of it happened over the years. It hasn't happened in a long time, I think, because the teams are so meticulous on making sure that doesn't happen, like we are. No matter what, we spin it and blow it out every single time. That is the procedure. And for us, it's like a standard operating procedure, like in the fire department. We have these, things like that where you have to do it this way every single time, and you just don't cut corners because someone can get killed or hurt. And it's kind of the same thing there. And I don't want to speculate, but that's just the first thing that I would think is that hydraulic. And I'm sure we'll know more if that is exactly what happened. Sometimes a nozzle if the nozzle sticks or something like that,
Okay.
some fuel dripped past the check valve on it, or all kinds of things. Bad things happen when they pull those coil wires, and boom, I've seen connecting rods come out the bottom. Not good. It's just when there's fuel in the cylinder and you first go to spin it and light it, it goes bang.
I was actually going to play the video, but I don't want like some copyright claim to haunt me later for playing the video.
I think all you got to do is tell people you know where to find it. You can
it's on YouTube and Facebook.
It's all over. Yeah.
But I've seen like some people who have posted it. I guess like YouTube or someone has already like taken it down from them. But if you want to see it's available some places on the internet. And we have on the Capital Sports Report, there's a video from 7 News Sydney that I posted about yesterday that has more details and actually talks to Bruce Reed. They share pictures and a video, 2 videos outside of the one that's gone on the internet as of Saturday.
Well, it was wild as it was on their live broadcast too. The commentator was talking, and you could see it happen in the background. And then, of course, there's some other cell phone video that some people had and stuff that's going around. It's just great that no one was really seriously hurt. I don't know if their eardrums were damaged, because that happens a lot of times. I know that the parts that flew, you could see the one crew member holding his hand.
Yes.
I don't know if it knocked fingers off or broke it, but it's a lot of pieces of billet aluminum flying all over the place.
And that's what the 7 News Sydney said. It's like if they didn't have these protection, they said like the diaper and the harness, it would have been a shrapnel bomb and would have done more damage.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. A lot more people would have hurt. I mean, parts have been raining down all over the place like that. I was at Pomona when Doug Herbert, his big explosion years and years and years ago, and parts were flying up over the grandstands, landing in the pits, raining down. You could hear it tinkling down, like, aluminum and titanium and whatever else was coming down.
Do you think that, I know it's a different series, but do you think that they could take what we have here with your series and make sure, like what you were talking about a few minutes ago about the safety, and make sure that when you guys, like how you have the instructions, but you have the safety of make sure that we're not going to have it here. Can they take it over there to the IHRA? But
I think they already have it in place over there.
Okay.
It's just sometimes things happen. I think that's really what it came down to. Whether a nozzle stuck or something bad happened, that could still happen here in theory. I just think it was something bad like that happened. I don't think it was the fact that they don't have a certain device or protection or a procedure. Those guys are sharp over there. They're all trained from here. They all haul ass. A lot of those parts are from here. They know, they're sharp. I just think it was a fluke kind of deal when it really comes down to it. I'm guessing that somehow a check or one of the check valves or something like on a nozzle in the head probably leaked a little fuel.
And there's Americans like Larry Dixon was just there. We talked about that with him.
Oh yeah, the Repsarda guys, all those guys, they come here, they race.
Yeah.
And I mean, they buy entire operations, fuel operations, and send them down under. And a lot of times, those Coletta guys and stuff, they help them get the car up and running. Get everything, procedure and everything else. So they're diehard drag racers down under. Kudos to all you guys down under. I'd love to go down there and race.
That's what I was just going to ask you.
Heartbeat, I'd go. So kudos to them. And the same like in Europe, you've got, I'd love to go to Santa Pod and race there and, be able to race A fuel over there. It'd be a dream come true, get this West Coast guy to go out and see the world and race cars.
Well, maybe one of the teams could hire you to do that.
You never know.
Because they do have like the Rapisarda team. They have like got Larry Dixon. They've Richie went over there. Cameron.
Oh, and you got there. Jerry Darian, Ty Brown. A lot of these crew chiefs, they go over to Finland and stuff, and they help teams. over there in Europe, and well, I mean, what a cool opportunity to go do. It'd just be more time I got to try to get off of work.
Yeah, you would have to juggle that somehow, some
But
way.
like I said at the beginning of this interview, I don't know how, but somehow I always wind up pulling it off, one way or another.
Well, hopefully you can continue to do that. Well, thank you for your time tonight, Johnny, and good luck
Always
the
a
rest of the
pleasure.
season. And hopefully your injury heals correctly so you can get back into the car.
Yeah, I think I'll be good. I think it'll just take some time, and I'm already itching. I can't sit still. I'm not that kind of person. So
Yeah,
but
that's
thanks
what
for
you
having me
said.
on here, Anthony. As always, I love coming on here and helping it and chatting and just bench racing.
Yes. Well, outside of being on Facebook Live right now and YouTube Live right now, this interview will be placed on Rumble and on BitChute in the next few days. Also, it will be converted into a podcast on Anchor.fm. Thank you for your time again, Johnny.
All right, buddy. Thank you, guys.